Hello, everybody. Josh Neighbours here, Locked On Nationals podcast, joined by Peter Pratt of the Locked On Marlins podcast. A crossover as we preview another series between these two foes. We'll check in on how both teams are doing, what the moves look like as we head closer to the MLB trade deadline. We'll just get Peter's also overall as general thoughts as well. But first of all, Peter, how you doing, man? It's been a month or so, I think, since I've seen you.
It has, brother. Great to be on. Great to talk. Listen, whenever we've spoken, the Marlins have typically done pretty well against the Nats. So let's hope that trend continues. But I'm doing well. It's Thursday here, UK time, 9 p.m. So everything's all good. Off day. So what that means for us UK fans, it means we have an early night. An early night, none of these 1 a.m. starts. We just go and have an early, nice little 10 p.m. snooze. So looking forward to that.
Yeah, I was going to say, are you going to bed after we're done recording this?
Pretty much, I'd say, yeah. I mean, yeah, last night was a bit of a late one. I tried, whenever Sandy's going.
Yeah. He was going last night too. He was going.
Exactly. Because they were playing in St. Louis on Central Time, the start time was like 12:45. So it's a bit of a late start. And then I kind of tried to hang it out, but in the end, dozed off and missed all of the action in the ninth until the morning. So, it could be a bit brutal for us UK fans. That game probably finished at like 4 a.m. UK time. So that's a tough one.
So I usually like to set up where everybody is at right now. The Washington Nationals are 29-49. They have a .372 winning percentage, 19 games back in the division. They have a -109 run differential. They've lost one in the current streak, but they are 6-4 in the last 10, which is decent. The Marlins are 34-40. They're 12 games back in the division. They're 19-16 at home, which is positive. Positive record at home is always good. They do have a +5 run differential, which is good. They've won one. They're 5-5 in their last 10. I just want to go back to last night. I saw the Mets start for Sandy Alcantara. Not his best, but last night, man, he was out there just fighting. I mean, a complete game. He ends up throwing 117 pitches, 18. It was 115 when they had the mound visit. I know that. Yeah. And then he gets a double play to win the game, I believe. And it's just like, this guy he's got it working. We always, it's funny because we didn't think he would be the one out of this group. He had a shot at being really good out of this pitching group. And obviously the Jose Fernandez thing is really sad and tragic, but the other guys, for other reasons haven't been all the way up yet. And he has really just ascended to a point where he's not the best guy on the staff. He's not the best guy, in the National League. He might be the best pitcher going, period, right now in all of baseball.
It's stunning to watch. 117 pitches. You're right on that, by the way, from last night. And listen, Sandy, he's got the dog in him, right? He's just got the dog in him. I absolutely love to see it. I knew it. I watched a couple of the innings live last night, and I knew that this was on the cards. I thought, pardon the pun, but I knew there's a potential. There was a complete game going here with Sandy. The Cards were so aggressive against him, and usually that is exactly what Sandy Alcantara needs. He wants them to be aggressive because he trusts his stuff. He'll roll those ground balls all day long. And it was, the Marlins didn't back him up that well. They were kicking the ball around in the infield, the outfield. They weren't great. They weren't good. They tried their best to lose it, but going in that ninth inning, Avisail Garcia with that 2-run home run, that was a huge moment for him as well, personally, because it has been a real torrid start for Avisail. And then Sandy came out, and like you said, that mound visit. What a mound visit! I haven't seen a mound visit like that for a long time. Where Donnie comes out, you think, okay, that's it, and Sandy just starts shouting
to him. He gets talked to. The manager is not the one doing the talking.
This is Sandy's team now, baby. This is Sandy's team. So I mean, what a moment! Sandy just basically said, "I've got this, Don. Turn back around. I've got it." And then he rolls the double play, and that's Sandy Alcantara in a nutshell. What a pitcher!
20 ground balls last night. 20 ground balls.
That's amazing. And Miguel, you got to call out as well. Miguel Rojas, a shortstop. He's electric in shortstop. Like it's so impressive what he does there. It's underrated because the bat, obviously, the stick doesn't play. He's not a huge offensive threat, but the glove is real nice at shortstop there for Miggy Rowe. And Sandy leans on that, really does. So big game, obviously, for this series, though, when we're thinking about the Nats and Marlins. No Sandy. It's a 4-game series for us, but no Sandy for you boys. So
yes, they get to
praise the Lord.
They get to avoid one of the best going right now. But I'll say this is that when it they're 6 games under 500 is I think in this division is pretty good. We've seen. I mean, the Braves and the Mets, the Braves have been on fire, and especially in this last month, they've been great. The Mets have fallen off a little bit, but they still have the division lead by 3 games. And the Marlins, there's 7 games back a wild card spot, so like it's not out of the picture, but also it's a gap. But that's not you're not cellar dwellers. You're not the Nationals. So it kind of brings us to this next part of this is as we head towards a trade deadline, there's some questions you have to ask if you're the Marlins. Are you a buyer or are you a seller? Because what happens there is, okay, you might not be in competition, but could you be trading things away that could help you win down the line? The whole point is if you're going to trade stuff away, it can't be stuff that sets you back at all. It's got to be stuff that you're like, all right, we've got either a prospect ready to go, or maybe there's an overload at a certain position. That's kind of the key here, in my opinion. What's your read on it as we are less than a month away from the deadline now?
Yeah, the Marlins they can go in so many different directions with this. It's going to be really intriguing. It's going to be led by what they do on the field, firstly. So, with 28 games to go in July, and against what looks to be a soft schedule, we've got a decent run, obviously, the Nats, but there's the Reds, the Pirates, multiple series against the Pirates. You look at that schedule and think, could the Marlins have a good July and be back more towards 500? If so, that maybe changes it. But more broadly, the Marlins don't have a ton of dudes to sell in general, because of the levels of control or the contract levels or their performance. The only real obvious ones that the Marlins should be selling, Jesus Aguilar at first base. He is blocking someone, Lewin Diaz at first base. He's an expiring contract, Jesus Aguilar. And the Marlins aren't going to extend him, and there's going to be no qualifying offer at all. So I expect Jesus Aguilar to be moved at some point, just to get a look at Lewin Diaz. Then, if things are going sideways, you're then into the bullpen arms, I think. But go back to last year as well. To your point as well, it's like, how do they make themselves better for the future? There's a history here with the Marlins where they'll happily pull a deal, a Zach Gallen, Jazz Chisholm type deal, at a deadline that could make an impact the next year. They tried to do the same last year. Max Meyer for Brandon Marsh with the Angels. The Angels pulled away from that. I think they'll regret that in the end, because I think Max Meyer is an absolute stud, no doubt. And the Angels, what do they always need? They need some good pitching. I think they'll regret that move. I think Max Meyer has progressed. I'm not convinced that Brandon Marsh really has. So it's going to be an intriguing deadline for the Fish. Let's not forget, when they were in the mix in 2020, they went out there and got Starling Marte. They should have paid him, by the way, when he was in the organization, but they didn't. But that's the type of move a lot of people are thinking about center field. I'm hearing a lot of buzz, clearly, because the Pirates aren't in it this year. Brian Reynolds is a stunning center fielder, and a lot of teams need a center fielder, so there's a lot of buzz there, no doubt. But I think the price tag is perhaps a little bit too steep on Reynolds for the Marlins to get involved in. We'll wait and see, but Ramon Laureano, I think, is an interesting one from the A's, personally. A center fielder there the Marlins desperately need. They have no center fielder on the roster. They haven't all year.
Who's been out there? It's been
Jesus Sanchez primarily.
Yeah, I mean, and last night, oh my God. Complete disaster out there last night. And this is another thing too is, all right, if you're going to get somebody, make sure you get somebody who's going to help you beyond this year. Because if you're a team that's, if you buy and you're not in a playoff spot, or you're really in the chase, if you're chasing, you have to be so careful. I mean, the thing about the Mets last year, the Mets, went and got Javier Baez, doesn't work out for him, and then you don't re-sign him either. So what do you get? It's not worth it. The juice is not worth the squeeze. Now, if we're talking about a guy that's there, moving forward, that's when you get the value. Now, it raises what you have to give, but maybe for the Marlins, that's something they consider doing, because Boyd, I mean, they have enough pitching to, go out there and say, all right, we'll give up somebody for someone that could potentially help us in the area that we do need it most.
Completely with you. They've got a lot of arms, a lot of pitching depth in the organization, clearly. They've got some decisions to make as well with their 40-man as they approach next year in the Rule 5. So there's some moves that need to be made, and we all know it. The Marlins have got so many arms. They need to turn 1, 2, 3 of them arms into an above-average major league bat. They have to, and it's what's been missing. But it's a major league bat in center field, and they're so hard to find. There's only a few of them out there that are actually available. So it's a tough one for the Fish. I know that they've been talking to the Pirates about Reynolds. They obviously did a deal with Pirates for Stallings. So the price tag was obviously too high. They didn't get a deal done. You keep revisiting that one, right? Because the control keeps expiring on Reynolds. The Pirates, maybe they're getting better. I don't know. I'm not close enough to the Pirates to know what they're doing, but yeah, we'll wait and see. I think the Fish, this deadline, will be governed by what they do in July. I'm optimistic they'll have a good July, and they could be buyers. And to your point, Josh, I think they'll be buying for not just now. It's not rentals for the Marlins. It will be at least one extra year of control beyond this year in anyone they trade for, and ideally someone beyond that as well.
All right, quick word from our sponsors here on the show. Today's show is brought to you by the good folks at LinkedIn. Sun's coming out as we leave the pandemic, and we're in midsummer as well. For small businesses, LinkedIn Jobs makes it easier to grow your team. LinkedIn Jobs helps you find the people you want to interview faster and for free. To create a job post, you guys can go to linkedin.com. And when you guys do, your job will reach 40 million people. 40 million job seekers visit LinkedIn every single week. So LinkedIn Jobs will help you find the candidates you want to talk to faster. Post your job for free at linkedin.com/LockedOnMLB. That's linkedin.com/LockedOnMLB to post your job for free. Terms and conditions do apply. All right, so let's talk a little Nats here, Peter. Some news today that came across the wire is that the Nationals are back into negotiations with Juan Soto. And this comes from Hector Gomez, who is an MLB insider. And I believe he works for Spanish publications, generally speaking, but did have this, tweeted this out where he said, source, the talks are intensifying between the Nationals and Juan Soto regarding a second offer from the team for the star for 13 years, $425 million. The extension, which will increase the initial $350 million offer by $75 million. And I'll tell you what, Peter, we had to do the dog and pony show. The Nationals people did, because after the first offer was denied, which this is how negotiations go, people were saying, we got to look to trade him now. We have to do this. The news also came out, Peter, the Nationals are looking to be sold. Well, I'll tell you what the Lerner family is not going to do if they're selling the team. Trade away the thing that gives the most give away the thing that is the biggest financial asset. Sure, it's a financial burden, but also Juan Soto puts the jerseys on the backs and he puts the butts in the seats. Those are the things that we talk about. The reason why Bryce Harper's Bryce Harper's a great player, but he's a guy where it's jerseys on backs, butts in the seats. It's the kind of player that he is. It's really worth it. I mean, it is your franchise in more ways than just 162 or 150, how many baseball games they play every single year. But I'll have to say this, it sounds like the Marlins' pursuit of Juan Soto is over, right? Is that what you're reading from this? The Marlins are no longer in the Juan Soto sweepstakes. But to be real, the sad thing is y'all might have to see him in the division for the next 15 years.
Yeah, it sounds like it, doesn't it? It's a really interesting conundrum. Like, to your point, if you look at this from the business side, I think that's always where you should start, because the approach in baseball right now is these teams are businesses and profit-making ones. And so, if someone's looking to sell the team, you cannot sell the asset of Juan Soto. That effectively devalues the value proposition. So it makes total sense to sign Soto for both sides. I think they should get it done. I think, like you said, they came out, bit of dancing around, felt like the CBA all over again. In the end, they'll find a way to get a deal done. And listen, let's not beat around here. The Marlins did something similar with Giancarlo Stanton years ago. Juan Soto's that young, this contract is not going to be something that puts teams off. Like, if the new ownership group come in and go, actually, do you know what? We don't like the look of this deal. They can move on from Soto if they decide in a couple of years, probably. You know what I mean? Like,
somebody's going to take that deal. Like, he's not having. Here's the thing: his down year this year for him is like still a pretty decent season. Yeah. I mean, he's still hitting for power. He's on base, is still around. It's 370. Like, Josh Bell is having a phenomenal season right now for the Nationals. His on base is like slightly higher than Juan Soto's, and Juan is hitting 70 points lower than 80. Actually, it's like closer to 80 points, 90 points lower than Josh Bell is. It just shows you, even when he's not, when he's getting the pitches to hit, he's not doing as good a job of hitting them. But when he's not getting pitches to hit, he's still just taking them like he has been in the past. And so he's still a really great player. And once again, like, think about his age. He's still young. This is a guy that the contract's only going to, I mean, he could realistically, this is not a guy where you're signing a 10-year deal and good Lord, we can't wait to get him off of it when it's over. Like he could ostensibly in the age of a DH, if he's still a really awesome hitter, he could still be employed until he's 40, 41, 42 once it's over. So like you said, like the value of the deal is still going to be pretty high. Even if he fishes out the season hitting 230 with 380 on base, I don't think the value of him really drops that much because we've seen what he's done at a younger age before this. And really, the team's not very good this year, too.
I think that's a factor, too, right? It really is like, it's tough when you want Soto, you're young. You want to be in the mix. Like he wants to be, he was, obviously it was this big kind of MVP run last year.
Yeah.
His name was in lights. Now, let's be honest, like no one really cares about the Nats this year. And kind of Soto, he's out of the limelight a bit. There's other guys like a Jazz Chisholm has ascended, for example, and other guys. And so it must be tough when you're that age and you want to be in the spotlight. You want to be performing. And the team really, it's going to be a few years, I think. This is a couple, multiple years. So, he's going to have to get his head around that pretty quick and decide, am I going to commit my future to the Nationals? The reality is, if he's traded elsewhere, he'll still get a similar deal elsewhere, probably. Like it's not like it's the Nats or bust for him. I think he needs in his own head to work out, do I want to be a Washington National for life, effectively? That's the question for him.
Yeah, and I mean, I'm not saying it's the same situation at all. Scott Boras' agent, but like you see the Freddie Freeman thing. I know he hasn't been around as long as Freddie, but like you see, the grass isn't always greener. Now Freddie got misled. It sounds like from what we're hearing, and that story needs to play itself out. A really bizarre story, especially. Not sure if you saw that. So the guy who tweeted out Doug Gottlieb is not a baseball guy. He is like a college basketball guy, and he is the guy who tweeted out, "Hey, it sounds like the agent misled Freddie Freeman." Bizarre story. It's being denied by the agent. Of course it is. Mm-hmm. So we'll see what comes out of that. But really just weird stuff happening on that front. And maybe the grass isn't always greener. I will say the specifics about this deal. $425 total will be the second largest contract ever behind only Mike Trout. To Juan Soto, some people care about the optics of some things. I would say it's okay to be behind Mike Trout. Like I didn't get as big of a deal as Mike Trout. Okay. Like that's understandable. In terms of AAV, average annual value, be the 10th largest ever, third among active contracts of 10 plus years. Trout, Lindor would be ahead of him. So maybe on that front not as much, but also when you're signing a deal like this, it's a long-term security, right? Like he's still got he's still got 2+ more years till he's a free agent. What you're doing now, much like Wander Franco is, you're securing maybe the next 4 generations of your family's financial futures in one moment, and it's worth it for a lot of guys. So I think final offer, but you up the $70 million. We're starting to get a little bit closer to I think what makes sense. Does he sign it now? No. Does he sign it even maybe this offseason? No. But like this is not just a starting point. Once we're with Mike Trout, right? In 2 categories, we're right behind Mike Trout barely. We're in the area right now of probably getting re-signed here, I think.
Agreed. I'm with you on that. And for me, it makes sense. And I hope the Nats do it. I hope they find a way to get a deal done. To me, it sounds like Soto wants to get a deal done too. I actually thought I've been saying about it in the offseason because clearly this is one of the things that was coming down the pipe for the Nats. They had to make a decision. And I always felt the contract value would end up starting with a 5. I always felt that would be the starting point, a $500 million contract for Juan Soto. Maybe what is seen as a slight down year for him maybe is playing into this a little bit. It's kind of like arbitration happening,
in real time.
Yeah, absolutely. So maybe there's a bit of that, but I still feel like Juan Soto's shooting and Scott Boras will be shooting for a contract that starts with a 5 in total contract value.
I was always between 450 and 5. I think that's where I still believe it might land there. Now, I think originally you might have been right because I don't think we saw the down year coming. So I think it is playing in just a little bit, but we'll see overall. All right, one more word from the sponsors, then we'll look at the matchups and game times, let you all know how to catch this game, where to catch this game. But first, a word from our friends from Sports Card Investor. It's a great app if you're interested in collecting cards or if you want to get in on kind of a new way to invest your money and you're a sports fan. Sports Card Investor is the place for you. Breakout stars or prospects, they've got their cards there. You can check the value of or find great deals on their cards. Players like Adley Rutschman, Jeremy Pena, Jesus Sanchez, if you want to find his card somewhere there. Yeah. You can find them, Luis Garcia, K. Bear Ruiz, if you're on the Nats side of things. You guys can go to our friends at Sports Card Investor today. Download the Sports Card Investor app, available free in the Google Play and App Stores, or go to sportscardinvestor.com/locked-on, sportscardinvestor.com/locked-on. Today's show is also brought to you by our friends at BetOnline and betonline.net. Made some money last night betting on the Marlins. I think it was like minus 120 with Sandy on the hill. They come back, come from behind, get the win, and make me some money. They can do the same for you, or any team do the same for you. MLB playoffs, big UFC pay-per-view this weekend. There's boxing, there's F1, there's NASCAR. You can bet on that. All of that stuff at our friends at BetOnline and betonline.net, the best place for all of your sports scores, podcasts, and news this offseason. Also, where you're at right now, Peter, we have Wimbledon taking place. You guys want to bet on the tennis, you can at BetOnline and betonline.net. Head to the website today. Use your mobile device as well. You can do it both ways. Get more on the trends and the action. BetOnline, it's where the game starts. All right, Peter, so I need you to translate I'm going to give you guys the game times for the weekend. Friday, Saturday, Sunday. It's actually, it's a 4-gamer. It's the one that flips to Monday because we have the 4th of July weekend. All right, So your first game is 6:05 p.m. Friday night. What time is that for you all?
11:05 p.m.
Okay, Saturday's at 4:05 Eastern time for you all.
This is my favorite one. This is 9:05 Saturday evening. It is prime time.
That's going to be a drink in hand, right? Couple drinks.
Oh, baby, you know it.
To watch the fish. And then the next day on Sunday, it's a 1:35 p.m. Eastern time.
Which is 6:35 UK, which is the standard kind of UK time. We love 6:35.
And then 11:05 on Monday.
That is 4:05 p.m. on a Monday. That's
early.
You get
some nice game time. You get some nice game times, aren't you, with this series? You like that?
After having 3 12:45 a.m. starts against the Cardinals the last 3 nights, this is like a heavenly matchup now. Of the 4, 3 of them UK prime time. So absolutely, it's going to be a boozy weekend by the sound of it for me.
It is for you. The first pitching matchup we have it's going to be Josiah Gray against Trevor Rogers. Then we have in the second game, it's going to be Jackson Tetrio going up against Daniel Castano in game number 2. Pablo Lopez and Eric Fetty in game number 3, and then Braxton Garrett against Patrick Corbin in game number 4. Peter, what are you most looking forward to this weekend? What are you looking to see? What should Nationals fans be looking at on the Marlins side of things?
Yeah, here's the key thing, guys. What we should say is Jazz Chisholm's on the IL. So Jazz landed on the IL yesterday. He's, leading the second base all-star vote now for the NL. So that's a big blow for the Fish offensively, defensively, swag, you name it. So Jazz is on the IL. Joey Wendell's due to be back up, I believe, for this Nats series. So 1 in, 1 out for the Marlins. But no Sandy. We've already talked about it. 4-game series, but you miss Sandy. That's a big, big boost for the Nats, clearly. The Marlins, like I've already said, they need a big July. They need a big, big July. They've played the Nats tough this year. They're looking to win this series 3-1 at the least, I think. And it's going to come down to what kind of Trevor Rogers do you get? It's not been good. It's not been 2021 Trevor. He's sitting there 3-6 with almost a 6 ERA for Trevor Rogers. But it's started to look a little bit more like Trevor from last year. But then you get into the Saturday one, and most people are going, who the hell's Dan Castano? Who is that? Go and look at him. He loves a cowboy hat. He's a fun dude. He's actually pitched great, Dan Castano. A couple of outings of 7 innings in the last 3. I think of the last 3, 2 of them 7 innings or more for Dan the Man Castano, which is great. You've got a similar guy in Braxton Garrett going on Monday for the 4th of July. It's just whether he's a big league pitcher, whether he's, can he take his game to that level? And see. So for the Marlins, it's a pitching first organization. Can they pitch well enough? Pablo Lopez has had a couple of rocky starts too after a comebacker in Houston to his wrist. So the Marlins need to win a series and they got to pitch well. And Jazz Chisholm isn't there, so the offense has been a bit up and down this year. You need some boys to perform. Avi Garcia off a 2-run bomb in the 9th. Can Avi get his season going? That is the question. Don't snooze as well on Nick Fortes. People are then going, who the hell's Nick Fortes? Great question. Yeah, backup
Who's Nick
catcher.
Fortes? Yeah.
Exactly. Backup catcher. He just walked off the Mets on Sunday with a home run in the ninth to walk off the Mets. He has been lighting it up with a stick. So keep your eyes peeled on Mickey Fortes. Got some JT Realmuto vibes, I think, with him. So yeah,
Oh,
wait and see.
wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Some big stuff there. Yeah, the thing I'm watching for the Nationals is their pitching staff has been pretty hot recently. Gray is coming off a career high for him, 7 innings. It's the most he's given the Nationals so far. Patrick Corbin, 12 Ks in 8 innings of work his last time. That was
Is he
vintage
back?
Patrick Corbin.
Is he back?
I mean, he's gonna have to show me like 2 months of after his decline has been so steady since the end of 19 that he's gonna have to give us like maybe 2 months of good Patrick Corbin for me to even entertain the he's back conversation. But
Absolutely.
it's gonna be happening there. Jackson Tetra is a guy they had to call up, but made a really good, not a guy who's a prospect for them at all, but has become a steady starter for them. Going to remain in that spot because they have injuries to Strasburg, and Joe Ross is done for the rest of the season. Anibal Sanchez has not yet returned. Also, Evan Lee, another guy, got hurt too, so they'll be stuck with him in the rotation. He did really well last time out. And so also Eric Fetty had a nice start last time too. Potential trade guy. Could be a back of the rotation guy for some teams that need to secure that and then shift somebody else to the pen the rest of the year. So we'll see how the Nationals pitching looks. And then I want to see if Josh Bell can just keep raking. He has been fantastic this year. Not getting the all-star recognition that he deserves.Esse base is a tough position, but he's been great. Yeah. So that's what I'm looking for. Peter, I have to mention actually also one thing too. Jesse Doherty from the Washington Post just said multiple people that he has talked to say that the reported figure of 13 years, $425 million is inaccurate. So that is, so we have some conflicting reports. He did say this: the team has made efforts to sign Juan Soto beyond the 13-year, $350 million offer they made last fall, including at least one additional offer. So they have moved beyond. So we're somewhere between 13 for 350 and it sounds like 13 for 425. Where we are, we're not sure. But it is news, the fact that we know there is an offer beyond that one. So there's that. All right, Peter, where can people find you and your work and all of its variety? I know you are active in many places and spaces.
That's true. I'm mainly a Twitter guy, though, guys. So if you're watching the show, at Miami Marlins _UK, don't forget the underscore. Some people do. So get me on Twitter. Of course, like Josh, Locked On Marlins for me. So instead of the Locked On Nats, Locked On Marlins daily podcast if you hadn't worked it out yet. So hop on there, mainly Twitter or Locked On.
I love your. I mean, here's the thing. I follow the Marlins basically by watching your post game recaps. I think you do them in your backyard. Is that where you do them?
Yeah,
they're fantastic. They're fantastic. So Peter's a great follow on Twitter if you're a Nats fan or you're just an NL East fan or a baseball fan in general. You guys can find me on Twitter at Josh Neighbours _. You guys can find the show at LO_Nationals. You guys can find me wherever you get your podcast and on YouTube as well. Peter, it's a pleasure. We'll see what happens this weekend.
Same.